Welcome, everyone. This is Frank Halverson with the Week 2 KVGC Les Schwab Tire Pigskin Preview. When we come back, we'll review results from last Friday night, as well as give you what to look forward to for this Friday's Game of the Week. We'll be right back, so stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for not just selling me tires.
Thanks for running out to my car to greet me.
Like running.
Thanks for checking my brakes for free.
For fixing my flat
For free.
And being just hassle-free.
For talking to me like an intelligent human being.
You don't see that too often.
Thanks for hustling to get me out of there.
Without making me feel hustled.
So thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks for doing the right thing by not just selling me tires.
Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters.
All right, Week 1 was pretty successful for the Mother Lode League team. All of the teams in the Mother Lode League won with the exception of Linden. They got beat late by Franklin. But let's start at the top. Big game everybody's got the buzz about. Sonora, we talked about, was going down to play Oakdale, their old Valley Oak League rival, and I don't think Sonora's beat Oakdale in the last 10 years. Well, guess what? Things changed this year. We talked about Sonora being good, and they are. Sonora defeated Oakdale 31-13. Riley Garrett scored 3 touchdowns for the Sonora Wildcats, and this week Sonora travels to another Division I team that's down in Lodi. Sonora looks tough coming right out of the gate with a big win over against Oakdale, and I'm sure it was a nice ride back to Sonora after that win. Calaveras soundly beat El Capitan 25-7 while racking up 308 yards on the ground. You know, we talked about that two-headed monster. Well, it was led by Noah Preuss, who had 136 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Bird came in with 100 yards through the air. Bird threw a touchdown pass that was also to Preuss. And so a good win for Calaveras to get this season started. This week, they are at home against a very good Escalon team. Escalon is a perennial power in the Trans-Valley League, and they're no pushover every single year. They're usually ready to play. So a good test for Calaveras this week. Now we talk about the Mustangs. You know, I talked about Rick Davis being back. I like to say the band is back together, and in that first week, they were playing sweet music. Argonaut put the big hurt on Mesa Verde, 53-7. They had a 39-0 lead at halftime to really put that game out of reach. This week, Argonaut travels to Brookside Christian, who lost to Rio Vista 31-14. Good games across the board by some of the Argonaut players. Ryan Albiani, starting his first varsity game at quarterback, managed the game very well. Sophomore Mason Flores had an outstanding game at running back along with Johnny White. Andrew Hernandez played real well. Derek Fleming. So a lot of things for the coaching staff to pick up on. And we caught up with Coach Davis, and here's what he had to say.
Well, to start with, they worked really hard in the off season to get themselves as strong as possible, and you know what we could get done in the off season without having pads and things. I thought the guys did really well. A lot of speed on the team, athleticism, offensive and defensive lines are coming around, so a lot to look forward to. You know, we're looking at who had good games on Friday, and there's so many players that are just, you know, a lot of good kids. I guess, you know, you look at our quarterback, of course, Ryan Albiani. You know, 6'2", almost 6. He looks 6'3", 220-pound kid. You know, big, athletic guy. Got a great arm, and actually a lot faster than you think. Runs the offense well. And then, of course, just a stable of running backs. I mean, heck, you've got Johnny White and, Mikey Vieira. We have a sophomore up right now, Mason Flores, at running back, and, you know, some kids that we think are going to do pretty good. And Andrew Hernandez running some X receiver for us, along with Addie Kramer, and a lot of skill position kids, and the line's coming around pretty well right now, too. And we have just a whole lot more options than we've had in the past. But what's neat about it is we're finding out that our smash mouth power running game is there when we want it to be. You know, our athletes have responded to coaching. You know, we've gotten out there with the coaching staff and we've been working our tails off coaching them. But you know, they've responded and they've done everything we've asked them to do so far. And so far, you know, things are looking good. I mean, it's really early. I mean, you've only had a scrimmage, and it was a good scrimmage against a quality team. And we felt real confident with that. And then, you know, you had an opening game where we were definitely firing on all cylinders for a 0-week game. I was pretty happy with that. But, you know, it wasn't the toughest opponent in the world either. However, when you can put up 39 points in one half and pretty much put a team away, you've got to feel good about that. We're heading down to Lincoln and Stockton, a nice venue to play. Playing Brookside Christian, so far from what we've seen on film, very athletic team, step up in athletes, lots of kids that we're going to have to cover and play really good defense against. Come up with a nice defensive game plan. Coach King and Coach Stevens are going to be working really hard to get us a nice defensive game plan together. And offensively, I think we're going to be planning on just, maybe using a little bit of our smash mouth to eat the clock up. And if we find some openings, we'll go ahead and, open it up a little bit. But it's going to be one of those games where we need to keep their athletes at bay and, do the things that we do.
All right, last week, our game of the week was over at Union Mine, where Amador had their first game of the season, and Amador soundly defeated Union Mine 24-0 in the game of the week. Now, it was a little bit of a sloppy game. There were a lot of penalties. Amador had a couple fumbles that kept them from sustaining a couple drives. The biggest problem I saw with Amador last week, they really had issues sustaining a drive. Everything happened on big plays. The one touchdown they ran was because of a Dalen Thedford punt return, which he took it down inside the 10-yard line, and he was able to waltz it in from there from the one. The other touchdown they scored, Reese Gilmore set up on a quick hitter right through the middle, and that was actually our play of the game to set Thedford up for his second touchdown. Now, they never kicked the Thedford again after the one kick. Every punt after that was out of bounds, and I think that Amador is going to see a lot of that in the games coming up. Solid performances by Coach Baker's team. Nice game by the quarterback Burns. We talked about him not having a lot of experience, did a good job managing the game, completed a few passes, and also had big contributions from some of the players you'd expect. Andrew Keeter, who had a touchdown. Reese Gilmore, McCoy, Hawkins had a really good game. I need to correct this here because we kept calling the wrong person on outstanding play. It was by number 82, and that was Dustin Martin. Really good game for them. Brandon Wright finished it off by getting in the end zone at the end of the game. And, of course, our player of the game was Dalen the Rocket Thedford, who had 2 touchdowns. So good start for Amador. And this week, it's homecoming for the Buffs as they host the Rio Vista Rams, who beat Brookside Christian last week 31-14, led by their sophomore running back, Ryan Hurley. 148 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, along with senior Abel Zapian, who had 56 yards on just 9 carries and a touchdown. So a better test this week for Amador. Rounding it out, Somerville defeated Denair 27-19. This week, Somerville's at home versus Mariposa. Linden lost to Franklin on a late score by Franklin 26-21. But they still racked up 379 yards rushing, led by Hunter White, who had 162 yards on the ground in only 7 carries, and Rowdy Reed had 74 yards with 2 touchdowns for Linden, and Linden had 2 costly turnovers, a fumble and an interception that really allowed them not to win that game. This week, Linden looks to bounce back to their first win as they play Gustine. On the other end of the spectrum, Bret Hart, they did not play last week, so they've got their first game. They'll see their first action of the year this week versus Riverbank. All right, that'll wrap it up for the Pigskin Preview this week. Remember to join us Friday night. We're going to be at Amador. It's homecoming where they host Rio Vista. I hope you're there with us.